It was a near perfect game. That was the way. I was texting you, I love this matchup. Mm-hmm. The offense is moving, cutting to the rim, kicking out for the open three, attacking, getting to the free throw line. And then it all fell apart, and there are many reasons why, but I cannot believe that we are here talking about the Knicks with an all-time collapse.
All right. So listen, we could, if we wanted to, Sal, we could start the show. We could do an hour on the refs. We could do an hour on Tom Thibodeau and what happened in those last, 6, 7, 8 minutes. We could do an hour on Brunson.
Yep.
We're tripping all over himself late. We could do an hour or so on the inability for the Knicks to seemingly have a clean inbounds play, which does go to coaching. We're not going to do that. Listen, what we should know by now is that these crazy fourth quarter comebacks in the NBA are more and more common, and you got to be ready for them. So, the post-game reaction, I know that Josh Hart said this. We've heard this in previous games as well. The Celtics said this when the Knicks did this to the Celtics. We got to finish. We got to play more aggressively. Yeah, yes, you do. Now, I still feel good about this. I do. I think the Knicks are the better team. But the one thing that I texted back to you, and they were still in a really good place at this point, I didn't think it would come back to bite him. I said, as we were going cat and offense vibing, Knicks look good, blah, blah, blah. I said, no doubt, I'm happy, whatever, as I paraphrase. I'm not going to look at my phone to actually read the tweet word for the text word for word, but I did say, bigger picture, this is how they want to play. This is the Knicks have been able to walk on a basketball court this entire postseason and outlast people, all right, and be fresh and be strong in the final 5 or 6 minutes of a game. And the Pacers might be the only team that could stand up to that, whether it's being in great shape or having enough guys to keep their guys fresh to do damage at the end of the game.
But I don't think
inexplicably bad loss, but I still feel okay.
Fair enough. I don't think that's why they lost, though. I don't think they lost because of the Pacers. The Knicks choked the game away. Josh Hart said they were playing not to lose. That's the problem. You can't play not to lose. I mean, even me as a fan, now it's different watching this thing slip away, and I'm like, oh, my God, is this actually happening? And I keep yelling. My wife's falling asleep and going, wow, what's going on? I'm like, I can't believe this. Everything that needed to go wrong did go wrong. Missed free throws, turnovers, Brunson looking gassed, the Pacers not missing a shot. Bridges not playing defense. The refs making bad calls. The Knicks making bad decisions. It was when something like that happens, and the only game that I could compare it to is the 28-3 blown lead by the Falcons in the Super Bowl. And we all watched that as a Super Bowl, but I watched it as a Falcons fan. And it was one thing after another that's just like, okay, well, if this doesn't happen. That's what this felt like. Now, the difference is this is game one of the Eastern Conference Finals, not the Super Bowl, but that's the type of collapse that this was, BT. I don't think it was because of the Pacers' pace or anything the Pacers did better than the Knicks. I think the Knicks choked. They beat themselves. Hit a free throw, protect the basketball, make a good call the timeout the right way. There were many different things that they play defense, get a hand in somebody's face, make a proper foul. There were any one of those little things that they could have done throughout the course of that finish, they would have won the freaking game, and they did none of them.
But that's why I said we could start the show and do an hour on so many different things. There's no doubt. But to me, it boils down to, now, you want to use the word choke? I'm fine with that. I get it. When the optics of the finish and the throw and the Halliburton, the bounce, and then the overtime. And I mean, what a wild, crazy night. I really woke up and I know that I'm not even saying this for effect. I'm like, they did lose. They lost the game, right? All right. So to me, it comes down to really two things. The inability to stop the three-point shot and ball-dominant pounding of the basketball late, where Jalen Brunson looked like he was on a sheet of ice. And I don't understand the confusion. And this comes back to a coaching thing for me. And listen, we talked about this before the series, and I very clearly said that Rick Carlisle's the better coach. Yeah. He is a much better he's just a better coach. We can debate that. That's fine. I don't even want to, but I think he's a lot better than Tom Thibodeau. Can you explain to me why every time the Knicks try to inbound the basketball, they look like a fourth-grade CYO team, or what they really look like, and we've seen the videos here, and they're cute when you're watching 6-year-olds trip all over themselves like T-ball. Like, you know, your daughter's not there yet, but when you play T-ball, somebody hits the ball, and 10 kids scatter to it like an ant, like jumping on a drip of ice cream on the sidewalk in August. Everybody goes to the basketball. That's how the Knicks inbounds plays look. Like, what? How is there not a clear ability to inbound the ball and get the offense going? And I focus on that because if they had that last night, they would have won the game.
Here's one thing that has been consistent with the Knicks. They have not been a great free throw shooting team, and they have been sloppy. Those are things that it's very hard to overcome to win a championship. Back to the coaching thing for a second, because in real time watching this now, I didn't think it was going to be a factor the way that the game went, but in the third quarter, I think it was like 9 minutes ago, something like that. The Pacers had a play that I forget, it was out of bounds off a Turner or something like that, and they were begging Carlisle to challenge it.
Yes.
And he said,
he's like, get out of here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He said, go play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go play. Didn't even entertain, just get out of here, go play.
Yeah, he actually motioned with his hand.
I don't know if it was the next possession or a few minutes later, the Knicks had a foul go against them, and Thibs challenged it. Now, I know why he did, because it was on Brunson, who again found himself in foul trouble. And at that point, with 9 minutes to go in the third quarter, after Carlisle just said, get out of here, I'm not wasting my challenge at this particular point, Thibs did use his challenge, and he lost it. It was not overturned. It was a foul on Brunson. And then shortly thereafter, Brunson gets another foul on him. So that, to me, showed the coaching, I don't want to say difference, like, and Carlisle way outmatched Thibs, but that was one example. And by the way, look at how the rest of the game played out. How many times did Carlisle use that bleeping challenge and cost the Knicks? So that right there, 9 minutes ago in the third quarter, where it looks like nothing, Carlisle dismissed the idea of using a challenge by his players, and turns out he needed that. Thibs burned his because Brunson again found himself gassed and in foul trouble, and the Knicks had no challenges down the stretch. Not that it would have made a difference for them, because a lot of those calls seemed to be the right calls that the Pacers ended up challenging and getting overturned, obviously. But that's one example of, I do think Thibs got outcoached.
Yeah, and by the way, if the referees get the goaltend, then it's a different game. Now that was, I think, goaltend is, well, I mean, obviously.
It was a goaltend, dude.
There's no question.
And it changed the whole game.
There's no question. They butchered that. 1,000% that's a goaltend. And you and I don't lean on excuses too much. Do you win? Do you lose? But the rest were bad last night. I thought they missed a few things. The goaltend is easy when the ball's coming. Like, is it on the way up or is it on the way down? And usually, you know, it's easy to determine, did it hit the backboard first or not? That was a little, I'll give them credit, or a little wiggle room. That was a trickier read because it was like tick, tick, like it was very close.
But how could that not be reviewed?
I don't
such
know.
Bull crap, but we can have replay or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and when we do have it, do we need 6 minutes of replay? That's the thing.
I know.
Now, listen, here's the problem. So the Pacers are very comfortable playing this way. I went back. Now, I understand, against the Bucks, Game 5, they trailed by 7 with 34.7 seconds to go in overtime. They won. They trailed by Cavs. They trailed the Cavs by 7 in the next round, Game 2, that was, with 46.7 seconds to go. They won. Like, they are very accustomed to playing this way, and that could be very problematic for the Knicks. I know we're all out of whack. I know everybody's exhausted. I know everybody's... I was going to say, I know that everybody's down, but I don't get the sense. I think that we're pissed that we let it slip, but I still think that we're fairly resolute. I feel that the Knicks community still feels good about this team, and I think that they should.
It's a long series. I'm not going to go over the board one way or another, but I do need to get the frustrations out from last night.
I get it.
That cannot happen. Now, if there was any team that I believe that can come back and bounce back from that, it is Brunson. It is Hart. It's that type of mentality. They've been here before, maybe not with that epic collapse. And, dude, the reality is they had the Pacers beat. So now you're going to have to beat them 4 out of a remaining 6 games, because you had them beat in Game 1 and you coughed it up at home, no less. All the talk about home court, out the window now. And how do you feel comfortable down the stretch when the Knicks were in the best spot that they've been in the postseason, closing out a game, and they couldn't close out the game? But I don't want to go nuts about losing the series and this or that. It's Game 1, and that cannot happen, and there are many different reasons. And before we get to the calls, I got to get one more thing off my chest. Mikal Bridges, who's supposed to be a great defensive player, didn't foul Toppin in overtime, but even more so than that, what the bleep was he doing on Halliburton on the final play? Get up on him. get up on him. He lets him run right past him, and then he backpedals and, knocks down the shot. Of course, it goes up in the air and comes back down. But Bridges did not have a good game, and certainly not defensively, in a spot where they just needed one freaking shutdown possession.
Yeah.
One. Neesmith, somebody get an arm or a body on the guy. Foul him, knock him down. You can't keep letting him shoot these threes. But Bridges is supposed to be that lockdown defender, and there was no defense to be found down the stretch.
You look at the game log here, Sal. It's like 3, 3, 3. Foul shots, 3, 3, 3. I mean, guys, you know what they're doing. There's one way to come back in this game, and that is to get behind the three-point stripe and just start firing away. And I don't understand. Like, listen, the main gripe here, there's a lot, but God, for somebody who's a defensive coach, can you set up a stop, dude? Now, this goes back to one of the things that does worry us, you and I both, about this team. We have said, although we've grown and I've grown, you've had more confidence in them than I have this year. And I've grown watching them grow, okay? And I still think they're going to win the series. I do. But the thing that you and I were always comment on was their two best players are bad defenders. And when you get in situations when I don't know why the Knicks were in drop coverage so much. When you drop, you are just saying, oh, here's the red carpet, let it loose, make yourself comfortable. The drop coverage was gross. And when you have a smallish, I say this with respect, weak compared to these other guys. Brunson's not that strong. Small, weak point guard, he's going to get abused, dude. And when you have a slow to react, softish big in Towns, you're going to get destroyed. They got to go to film, and they got to go to work because Rick Carlisle is not about to give the series away.
And by the way, with all that being said, they should have won the game. Like, we know their deficiencies. We know that they can be sloppy. They should not have lost.
Would you rather have lost 121-89 or the way they lost? If you're a Knick player, forget about us as fans.
I'd rather have lost that game any other way. That is a sickening, gut-wrenching, potentially devastating blow.
I hear you on that. There's no, as much as I think that they're going to win, that's the kind of loss. There's no guarantee that they respond from that the way they need to. There's no guarantee. We can sit there and tell you they're fine, and I think they're going to win the series,
right.
But that was such a demoralizing all-time loss. You cannot categorize it any other way.
BT and Sal on the Fan, just getting started here. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires. From Connecticut to Maine, nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Anthony's on Staten Island. What's up, Ant?
Guys, I'm crushed. I went from riding the high, up 14, 2 minutes left, sipping a Peroni on the couch, like, all right, we got game one. And now I am in bumper-to-bumper traffic in the rain on the turnpike, dropping a wedding cake deposit off with Celtics fans sending me Halliburton memes.
Oh,
you guys gotta talk me up. I need something because this is all-time low. This is all-time low right now. I didn't think it would.
It's one of the worst losses in the history of the sport. It never happened
in
before.
New York, actually.
I'm getting chirped.
Oh, I got you.
I'm getting chirped left and right. I'm getting chirped. It crushed me.
Yeah.
To say the series is over would be stupid. I do think we're going to come back strong. I don't think you could count us out at all. Worst loss in NBA history. Like, how you guys are going to come back from that? Blah, blah, blah. I had my call set up. I was going to call you today, Deuce McBride, this,
right.
that.
Even campaign.
Things, everything. And this is where I'm at. I'm dropping a wedding cake deposit off in the rain and on the turnpike.
Is the wedding cake for you?
Choking Halliburton.
Well, hold on. Is the wedding cake for you?
I had the fiance there. Oh, by the way, you got to go drive an hour into Jersey to drop the deposit off. By the way, you got to, and so
you regretting this already?
That's my day.
Yeah, you regret this.
Right.
That's a rough day.
Sorry, Ed.
Wow.
Thank you for the call. Good stuff there. Yeah, it's brutal.
That is a vivid imagery right there because it was brutal coming in. The traffic was awful. The weather stinks. It's like 49 degrees out.
It feels like football season instead of basketball playoffs. It's disgusting out. We're miserable to begin with the freaking weather, and then to have that loss happen, awful. And I'm getting the same thing. I don't know about you, texts from Sixers fans or Celtics.
I ignore them. That doesn't bother me.
The Knick haters are out. It's new for me to be on the side of being hated.
Yeah.
You get that maybe with the Yankees or whatever.
Yeah.
So to get that, and I understand it. I understand that you see it all on social media, people taking their laps, and it's one game, so we don't want to go nuts. But dude, that you cannot have a more sick. It's one of the worst losses in the history of the sport. When you see the numbers like 948 or whatever it is, and one, now this is the one loss in that same scenario, up 14 with 2.5 to go, whatever it is. That you're talking about all-time bad loss.
Yeah, that is the exact stat. So before last night, the last 27 years, the NBA teams in the NBA were 0-970. 970 when you're up by 14 or more with 2 minutes and 50 seconds or less in a game. Now it's 1-970. I mean, it's absolutely bonkers here. But he did ask for advice. Listen, this is the advice, because whether it's Net fans trying to hit the little needle, or Celtic fans or whatever fans, right, chiming in, trying to complicate your day. You just have to understand that there's a pettiness to this. All right, you got to rise above it. You can either let it bother you, or you could just really understand that they are trying to find ways to involve themselves, and this is the only recourse that they have. I know it's a little annoying, but you got to ignore it and understand that when Game 2 fires up tomorrow night, they will have no true emotional investment in this series, and we will.
But dude, here's the thing: a loss is a loss. That loss is soul-crushing.
But why?
Sickening.
But why?
Because it was won. The game was over. It's hard enough to win games to begin with. It's hard enough to beat a good team like the Pacers. We haven't seen the Knicks have I don't want to say easy win, because that was not the case, but, cruising to the finish line the way that they were yesterday. That game was in hand. It was under control. And they let it go. And then you got to see that. I said a lot of these bad words last night. Halliburton, you got to see him out there with the choke sign. You see Reggie Miller with the same thing. I'm tired of it. It's been 25 years I haven't had these feels, and then last night, now it's good to be able to feel again. But come on, man, that's torture. A loss is a loss, and we would have been upset either way, and trash talk, this and that. Okay, we'll see what happens in Game 2. That's not a loss. That's not right.
But it's also not a death sentence.
Right, correct.
And that's all I'm trying to get through. Trust me, I get it, man. I the thing that I think is most disconcerting to me is that, number one, I think a lot of people who maybe, I don't want to say slept on the Pacers, but now you see their depth, and now you see their shooting prowess, and now you see that it's going to be a tough matchup, even though you and I both think that they'll win. We thought that yesterday. Yeah. I still think that we both do. But if you told me yesterday before we left the studio, hey, Brunson's going to do this with 43, and Cat's going to do this, and I'm like, and even Campaign's going to, pop off the bench and do a little something. Deuce will have influence on the game again. I'm like, Knicks won by, what did we win by? 15, 18, 17? I know we won pretty easily here.
But with Cat and Brunson.
I know. That's the thing that has to worry you, but the rebounding advantage and the extra possessions that the Knicks will have, I believe, throughout the entire series is a real thing. And I believe that will result in moving on to the NBA Finals. I get it. It's a kick to the stones, but there's really no other choice but to rally. And we got to rally.
BT and
can't be sitting there crying all day. Got to rally, dude.
Don't walk like let's cry for at least a few hours. I have to get out of my system.
I got you.
BT and Sal on the Fan, just getting started here. We'll come back. More of your calls at 888-808-1019. If you live in New Jersey, your electricity rates are going up yet again. Something else to cry about. If